Nehemiah chapter 1. Nehemiah hears bad news. The word of the Nehemiah, son of the Halakliah, in the month Kislev of the 20th year, I was in the citadel of Susa. When Hanani, one of my brothers, came with other men from Judah, I asked them about the Jews, the remnant preserved after captivity, and about Jerusalem. They answered me, the survivors of the captivity there in province are in the great distress and under reproach. The wall of the Jerusalem has been breached, its gates gutted by fire. When I heard this report, I began to weep and continued mourning for several days, fasting and praying before the God of the heavens. I prayed, the Lord God of heaven, great and awesome God, you preserve your covenant of the mercy with those who love you and keep your commandments. May your ears be attentive and your eyes open to hear the prayer that I, your servant, now offer in your presence day and night for your servant the Israelites, confessing the sins we have committed against you, I and my ancestral house included. We have greatly offended you, not keeping the commandment, the statute, and the ordinance you entrusted to your servant Moses. But remember the admonition which you addressed to Moses, your servant, when you said, if you prove faithless, I'll scatter you among the peoples. But if you return to me and carefully keep my commandment, even though your outcasts have been driven to the farthest corner of the world, I'll get them from there and bring them back to the place I have chosen as dwelling place for my names. There are your servants, your people, whom you have freed by your great might and strong hands. Lord, may your ear to be attentive to the prayer of your servant, that of all your servants who willingly revere your names. Grant success to your servant this day, and let him find favor with this man, for I was a cupbearer to the kings. Nehemiah chapter 2. Appointment by the king. In the month Nisan of the 20th year of the king Artaxerxes, when the wine was in my troughs, I took some and offered it to the king, because I have never been sad in his presence. The king asked me, why do you look sad? If you are not sick, you must be sad at heart, though I was seized with great fears. I answered the king, may the king live forever. How could I not look sad when the city where my ancestors are buried lies in the ruins and its gate consumed by fire? The king asked me, what is it then that you will see? I pray to the God of the heaven. And then answered the king, if it please the king, and if your servant is deserving of your favor, send me to Judah, to the city where my ancestors are buried, that I may rebuild it. Then the king, with the queen seated beside him, asked me, how long will your journey take, and when will you return? My answer was acceptable to the king, and he agreed to let me go. I set a date for my return. I asked the king further, if it please the king, let a letter be given to me for the governor of the West Euphrates, that they may give me safe conduct till I arrive in Judah. Also, a letter for Asaph, the keeper of the royal woods, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gate of the temple citadels, for the city wall and the house that I will occupy. Since I enjoy the good favor of my God, the king granted my request. Thus I proceeded to the governor of the west of the Euphrates and presented the king a letter to them. The king also sent me with me army official and cavalries. When Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite official had heard of this, they were very much displeased that someone had come to improve the lot of the Israelites, circuit of the cities. When I arrived in Jerusalem and had been there 3 days, I set out by night with only a few other men and with no other animals but my own mount. For I have not told anyone what my God had inspired me to do for Jerusalem. I rode out at night by the valley gate, passed by the dragon spring, and came to the dung gate, observing how the wall of the Jerusalem were breached and its gate consumed by fire. Then I passed over to the fountain gate and to the king's pools, since there was no room here for my mount to pass with me as a tract. I continued on foot up the wadi by night, inspecting the wall all the while, until I once more reached the valley gate by which I went back east. The magistrate knew nothing of the where I had gone or what I was doing, for as yet I had disclosed nothing to the Jews, neither to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the magistrate, nor to the others who were to do the work. Decision to rebuild the city walls. Afterward, I said to them, "You see the trouble we are in. How Jerusalem lies in ruins and its gates have been gutted by fire. Come, let us rebuild the wall of the Jerusalem so that we may no longer be a reproach." Then I explained to them how God had shown his gracious favor to me and what the king had said to me. They replied, "Let us begin building," and they undertook the work with vigor. When they heard about this, Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite officials, and Geshem the Arab mocked and ridiculed us. "What are you doing?" they asked. "Are you rebelling against the king?" My answer to them was this: "It is God of heaven who will grant us success. We, his servant, shall set about the rebuilding. But you have neither share nor claim nor memorial in Jerusalem." Nehemiah chapter 3 is a list of workers. Eliashib, the high priest, and his priestly kinsmen took up the task of rebuilding the sheep gate. They consecrated it and set up its doors, its boards, and its bars, then continued the rebuilding to the Tower of the 100, the Tower of the Hananels. At their side, the men of the Jericho were rebuilding, and next to them was Zakur, son of Imri. The fish gate was rebuilt by the people of the Hashed-nar. They timbered it and set up its doors, its boards, and its bars. At the side, Metamors, son of the Uriah, son of the Hakkos, carried out the work of the repair. Next to him was Mashallam, son of the Berechiah, son of the Meshech-Jabal, and next to him was Zadok, son of the Bana. Next to him, the Tekoites carried out the work of the repair. However, some of their most powerful men would not submit to the labor asked by their masters. The Mishahanel gate was repaired by the Joiada, son of the Pasera, and Meshullam, son of the Besodiah. They timbered it, set up its door, its board, and its bars. At the side, Melatiah the Gibeonite did the repairing together with Jadon the Meronotite and the men of the Gibeon of the Mizpah, who were under the jurisdiction of the governor of the west of the Euphrates. Next to them, the work of the repair was carried out by Uzziel, son of the Haraliah, a member of the Goldsmiths Guild, And at its side was Hananiah, one of the perfumes guilds. They restored Jerusalem as far as the broad walls. Next to them, the work of the repair was carried out by the Nehemiah, son of the Hur, administrator of the half the district of the Jerusalem. And at his side was Zedaiah, son of the Nab, who repaired opposite his own house. Next to him, Hattush, son of the Hashabaniah, carried out the work of the repair. The adjoining sector as far as the open tower was repaired by the Melchijah, son of the Harim, and the Hashihab, son of the Pahabs Moab. At their side, the work of the repair was carried out by the Shalom, son of the Halohaz, administrator of the harbor, the district of the Jerusalem, together with his daughters. The valley gate was repaired by the Hanun and the inhabitants of the Zanoah. They rebuilt it and set up its doors, its boards, and its bars. They also repaired the southern cubit of the wall up to the dung gate. The dung gate was repaired by the Malchijah, son of the Lectrab, administrator of the district of the Beth Hachorem. He rebuilt it and set up its doors, its boards, and its bars. The fountain gate was repaired by the Shalom, son of the Korhozer, administrator of the district of the Mizpah. He rebuilt it, roofed it, and set up its doors, its boards, and its bars. He also repaired the wall of the aqueduct pool near the king's garden as far as the step that led down from the city of David. After him, the work of the repair was carried out by the Nehemiah, son of the Azbog, administrator of the half the district of the Beth Jost, to a place opposite the tomb of the David as far as the artificial pool and the barracks. After him, this Levite carried out the work of the repair, Lalum, son of the Bani, and next to him for his own district was Hashabiah, administrator of the half the district of the Gailas. After him, near their kinsmen carried out the work of the repair, Bin Nui, son of the Henadad, administrator of the half for the district of the Gailas. Next to him, Israel, son of the Jeshua, administrator of the Mizpah, who repaired the adjoining sector, the corner opposite the ascent to the arsenal. After him, Baruch, son of the Zabrai, repaired the adjoining sector from the corner to the entrance of the house of the Eliashib, the high priest. After him, Meremoth, son of the Uriah, son of the Hakos, repaired the adjoining sector from the entrance of the Eliashib house to its end. After him, the work of the repair was carried out by the priests, men of the surrounding countries. After them, Benjamin and the Hashab carried out the repair in front of their houses. After them, Azariah, son of the Maziah, son of the Ananiah, made the repairs alongside his house. After him, Bin Nui, son of the Henadad, repaired the adjoining sector from the house of the Azariah to the corner, that is, to the angles. After him, Barar, son of the Uzziah, carried out the work of the repair opposite the corner and the tower projecting from the upper palace. At the corner of the gate, after him, Pedaiah, son of the Parosh, carried out the work of the repair. To a point opposite to the water gate on the east and the projecting tower. After him, the Tekoites repaired the adjoining sector opposite the gate, the projecting tower, to the wall of the upper palace. Above the horse gate, the priest carried out the work of the repair, each opposite his own house. After them, Zadok, son of the Imro, carried out the repair opposite his house and after him the repair was carried out by Shemaiah, son of the Shechaniah, keeper of the east gate. After him, Hananiah, son of the Shelemiah, and Hanun, the sixth son of the Zalapust, repaired the adjoining sector. After them, Meshullam, son of the Belajiah, repaired the place opposite his own lodging. After him, Malchijah, a member of the goldsmiths guild, carried out the work of the repair as far as the court of the temple, servant and the merchant, in front of the gate of the inspection and as far as the upper chamber of the angles. Between the upper chamber of the angle and the ship gate, the goldsmiths and the merchant carried out the work of the repair. Opposition from Judah enemies. When Sanballat heard that he was rebuilding the wall, he became angry and very much incensed. He ridiculed the Jews, saying in the presence of his associate and the troop of the Samaria, "What are these miserable Jews trying to do? Will they complete their restoration in a single day? Will they recover these stones burned as they are from the heap of the dust?" Tobiah the Ammonite was beside him, and he said, "Whatever they are building, if for attacks, it will breach their wall of the stones. Hear our God, how we were mocked, turn back their reproach upon their own hands, and deliver them up as plunder in the land of the captivities. Do not hide their crime, and do not let their sin be blotted out in your sight, for they insulted the builders to their faces." We, however, continued to build the wall, and soon it was complete up to half its height. The people worked enthusiastically. Nehemiah chapter 4. When Sanballat, Tobiah, the Arabs, the Ammonite, and the Ashdodite heard that the restoration of the wall of Jerusalem was progressing, for the gaps were beginning to close up, they became extremely angry. They all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem and to throw us into confusion. We prayed to our God and posted a watch against them day and night for fear of what they might do. Meanwhile, the Judahites were saying, "Slacken is the bearer's strength, there is no end to the lavish. Never will we be able to rebuild the wall." Our enemies thought that before they are aware of it or see us, we will come into their midst, kill them, and put an end to the works. When the Jews who lived near them had come to us from one place after another, and had told us 10 times over that they were about to attack us, I stationed guards down below behind the wall near the exposed point, assigning them by family groups with their swords, spears, and bows. I made an inspection, then addressed these words to the nobles, the magistrate, and the rest of the people. "Do not fear them. Keep in mind the Lord, who is great and to the fears, and fight for your kindred, your sons and daughters, your wives, and your homes." When our enemies realized that we had been warned and that God had upset their plan, we all went back east to our own task at the worst. From that time on, however, only half my workforce took a hand in the work, while the other half were armed with the spears, bucklers, bows, and breastplates, stood guard behind the whole house of the Judah. As they rebuilt the wall, the road carriers too were armed. Each worked with one hand and held a weapon with the others. Every builder while working had a sword tied at his side. A trumpeter stood beside me. For I have said to the nobles, the magistrate, and the rest of the people, our work is scattered and extensive, and we are widely separated from one another along the walls. Wherever you hear the trumpet sound, join us there. Our God will fight with us. Thus we went on with the work, half with spears in hand, from daybreak till the stars came out. At the same time, I told the people to spend the night inside Jerusalem, each with an attendant, so that they might serve as a guard by night and the working force by day. Neither I nor my kindred nor any of my attendants nor any of the bodyguard that accompanied me took off our clothes. Everyone kept a weapon at hand. Nehemiah chapter 5, Social and Economic Problem. Then there arose a great outcry of the people and their wives against certain of their Jewish kindred. Some said, "We are forced to burn our son and daughter in order to get grain to eat that we may live." Others said, "We are forced to burn our fields, our vineyard, and our houses, that we may have grain during the famines." Still others said, "To pay the king tax, we have borrowed money on our fields and vineyards. And though these are our own kindred and our children are as good as theirs, we have had to reduce our sons and daughters to slavery. And the violence has been done to some of our daughters, yet we can do nothing about it, for our fields and the vineyard belong to others." I was extremely angry when I heard the reason for their complaint. After some deliberation, I called nobles and the magistrate to account, saying to them, "You are exacting interest from your own kindred." I then rebuked them severely, saying to them, "As far as we are able, we bought back our Jewish kindred who had been sold to the Gentiles. You, however, are selling your own kindred to have them bought back by us." They remained silent, for they could find no answer. I continued, "What are you doing is not good. Should you not conduct yourselves out of fear of our God rather than fear of the reproach of our Gentile enemies? I myself, my kindred, and my attendant have lent the people money and grain without charge. Let us put an end to this usuries. Return to them this very day their fields, vineyard, olive groves, and houses, together with the interest on the money, the grain, the wine, and the oil that you have lent them." They answered, "We will return everything and exact nothing further from them. We will do just what you ask." Then I called for a priest to administer an oath to them that they would do as they had promised. I shook out the folds of my garment, saying, "Thus may God shake from the home and the fortune every man who failed to keep his promise. And may he thus be shaken out and emptied." And the whole assembly answered, "Amen," and praised the Lord. Then the people did as they had promised. Nehemiah records. Moreover, from the time that King Artaxerxes appointed me governor in the land of the Judah, from his 20th to his 32nd years. During these 12 years, neither I nor my kindred lived off the governor's food allowance. The earlier governor, my predecessors, had laid a heavy burden on the people, taking from them each day 40 silver shekels for their food. Then to their attendant oppressed the people, but I, because I feared God, did not do this. In addition, though I had acquired no land of my own, I did my part in this work on the wall, and all my attendants were gathered there for the works. Though I set my table for 150 persons, Jew and the magistrate, as well as the neighboring Gentiles who came to us. And though the daily preparations were made at my expense, 1 ox, 6 choice sheep of poultry, beside all kinds of wine in the abundance every 10 days. Despite this, I did not claim the government allowance, for the labor lay heavy upon these people. Keep in mind, my God, to my credit, all that I did for these peoples. Nehemiah chapter 6 plots against Nehemiah. When it had been reported to the Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem, the Arab, and Awad, the enemy, that I had rebuilt the wall and that there was no breach left in it, though up to that time I had not yet set up the doors in the gate. Sanballat and the Geshem sent me this message: Come, let us hold the council together at the Chappirim in the plain of the honor. They were planning to do me harm. I sent a messenger to them with this reply: I am engaged in great enterprise and am unable to come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it to come down to you? 4 times they sent me this same proposal, and each time I gave the same reply. Then the 5th time, Sanballat sent me the same message by one of his servants, who brought unsealed letters. Containing this text: Among the nation it has been reported, Kashmir is a witness to this, that you and the Jews are planning a rebellion, that for this reason you are rebuilding the wall, and that you are to be their kings. Also that you have set up the prophet in Jerusalem to proclaim you king of Judah. Now since matters like this will reach the ear of the king, come, let us hold the council together. I sent him this answer: Nothing of what you report is happening, rather it is the invention of your own mind. They were all trying to intimidate us, thinking they will be discouraged from continuing with the work, and it will never be completed, but instead I then redoubled my efforts. I went to the house of the Shemaiah, son of the Delaiah, son of the Mehedaber, who was confined to this house. And he said, Let us meet in the house of the God inside the temple building. Let us lock the door of the temple, for they are coming to kill you. By night they are coming to kill you. My answer was, A man like me take a flight. Should a man like me enter the temple to save his life, I will not go. For on consideration, it was plain to me that God has not sent me, rather because Tobiah and Sanballat had bribed him, he voiced this prophecy concerning me, that I might act on it out of fear and commit their sins. Then they would have had a shameful story with which to discredit me. Keep in mind Tobiah and Sanballat, my God, because of these things they did. Keep in mind as well Noadiah, the woman prophet, and the other prophet who were trying to intimidate me. Completion of the work. The work was finished on the 25th day of the Elul. The work has taken 52 days. When all our enemies had heard this, and all the neighboring Gentiles round about had taken note of it, they were very discouraged, for they knew that it was with our God's help that this work had been completed. At that same time, however, many letters were going to Tobiah from the noble of the Judah, and the Tobiah letters were reaching them. For many in Judah were in league with him, since he was the son-in-law of the Sencaniah, son of the Ara, and his son Jehohanan had married the daughter of the Meshullam, son of the Berechiah. They would praise his good deeds in my presence and reiterate to him whatever I said. And Tobiah sent letters trying to intimidate me. Nehemiah chapter 7. Now that the wall had been rebuilt, I had doors set up, and the gatekeepers, the singers, and the Levites were put in charge of them. Over Jerusalem I placed Hadani, my brother, and Hananiah, the commander of the citadel, who was more trustworthy and God-fearing than most. I said to them, the gates of Jerusalem are not to be opened until the sun is hot, and while the sun is still shining, they shall shut and bar the doors. appoint as sentinels the inhabitants of the Jerusalem, some at their watchpost, and others in front of their own houses. Census of the province. Now the city was quite wide and spacious, but its population was small, and none of the houses had been rebuilt. When my God had inspired me to gather together the nobles, the magistrates, and the people, and to examine their family records, I came upon the family list of those who had returned in the earliest period. There I found the following readings. These are inhabitants of the province who returned from the captivity of the exile, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Babylon, had carried away, and who came back to Jerusalem and Judah, to their own cities. They returned with Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Nehemiah, Azariah, Nehemiah, Nahamanis, Mordecai, Bilshan, Misperas, Bigvai, Nahum, and Banar, the census of the people of the Israel. Descendant of the Paros, 2,172. Descendant of the Shaphatiah, 372. Descendant of the Ara, 652. Descendant of the Bahars, Moab, who were descendant of the Jeshua and the Joab, 2,818. Descendant of the Elam, 1,254. Descent of the Zatu, 845. Descent of the Zakkai, 760. Descent of the Binui, 648. Descendant of the Bibai, 628. Descent of the Azgad, 2,322. Descendant of the Adonikam, 667. Descent of the Bigvai, 2,067. Descent of the Adin, 655. Descent of the Atohua, descent of the Hezekiah, 98. Descent of the Hashum, 328. Descent of the Bigzai, 324. Descent of the Harith, 112. Descent of the Gibeon, 95. People of the Bethlehem and the Netopha, 188. People of the Anatols, 128. People of the Beth Azmapheth, 42. People of the Gilead, Juram, Chaphirah, and Beeroth, 743. People of the Lama and the Giba, 621. People of the Mishmas, 122. People of the Bethel or Ai, 123. People of the Nebo, 52. Descent of the other Eram, 1,254. Descent of the Harim, 323. Descent of the Jericho, 345. Descent of the Lord Hadid and Honor, 721. Descent of the Sinar, 3,930. The priest, the descent of the Jediah of the house of the Jeshua, 973. Descent of the Immer, 1,052. Descent of the Pashur, 1,247. Descent of the Harim, 1,017. The Levite, the descent of the Joshua, Kadmiel of the descent of the Hodaviah, 74. The singer, descent of the Asapha, 148. The gatekeepers, descent of the Shalom, descent of the Atto, descent of the Talmud, descent of the Akrus, descent of the Hatita, descent of the Shobai, 138. The temple servant, descent of the Ziha, descent of the Hashba, descent of the Tabaus, descent of the Caros, descent of the Sia, descent of the Badon, descent of the Labana, descent of the Hagabah, descent of the Shalmai, descent of the Hannah, descent of the Gidal, descent of the Garhorst, descent of the Lealiah, descent of the Rezin, descent of the Nekoda, descent of the Gazam, descent of the Ucha, descent of the Pasir, descent of the Beside, descent of the Munite, descent of the Nephusite, descent of the Bakuk, descent of the Hakupah, descent of the Harhorst, descent of the Basilis, descent of the Mihaida, descent of the Hashar, descent of the Barhorst, descent of the Sisera, descent of the Timah, descent of the Neziah, descent of the Hatipha, descent of the Solomon servant, descent of the Sodai, descent of the Sopharis, descent of the Farida, descent of the Zala, descent of the Darkon, descent of the Gider, descent of the Shephatiah, descent of the Hittar, descent of the Pocheras, Hachebraim, descent of the Ammon. The total temple of the Solomon and the descent of the Solomon servant was 392. The following who returned from Telamaros, the Tel Hasha, Charles, Adon, and the Immer were able to prove that their ancestral houses and their descent were Israelite. Descent of the Deliah, descent of the Tobiah, descent of the Nekoda, 642. Also of the priest, descent of the Hobiah, descent of the Hakos, descent of the Barzillai. He had married one of the daughters of the Barzillai, the Gileadite, and was named after him. These men searched their family record, but their names could not be found written there. Hence, they were disqualified from the priesthood. And the governor ordered them not to partake of the most holy foods until there should be a priest to consult the Urim and the Thummim. The entire assembly together came to 42,360, not counting their male and female servants, who were 7,337. They also had 200 male and female singers. Their horses were 736, their mules 245. Their camels 435, their donkeys 720. 13 of the head of the ancestral houses contribute to the temple service. The governor put into the treasury 1,000 drachmas of gold, 50 basin, 30 vestments for priests, and 500 minas of silver. Some of the head of the ancestral houses contribute to the treasury for the temple service, 20,000 drachmas of the gold and 2,200 minas of silver. The contribution of the rest of the people amount to the 20,000 drachmas of the gold, 2,000 minas of silver, and 67 vestments for priests. The priest, the Levite, the gatekeeper, the singer, the temple servant, and all Israel took up residence in their cities. Nehemiah chapter 8. Israel reads the law. Now when the 7th month came, the whole people gathered as one in a square in front of the water gate. And they called upon Israel the scribe to bring forth the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded for Israel. On the first day of the 7th month, therefore Israel the priest brought the law before the assembly, which consisted of the men, women, and those children old enough to understand. In the square in front of the water gate, Israel read out of the book from daybreak till midday, in the presence of the men, the woman, and the children old enough to understand. And all the people listened attentively to the book of the law. Israel the scribe stood on the wooden platform that had been made for the occasion. At his right side stood Mattithiah, Shema, Ananiah, Uriah, Hilkiah, and Messiah, and on his left Pedaiah, Mishal, Malchilas, Hashum, Hashbadatinas, Zechariah, Meshullam. Ezra opened the scroll so that all the people might see it, for he was standing higher than any of the people. When he opened it, all the people stood. Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God, and all the people, their hands raised high, answered, Amen, Amen. Then they knelt down and bowed before the Lord, their face to the ground. The Levite Joshua, Bani, Sherebiah, Zamin, Akuz, Shabbatai, Hodiah, Messiah, Kirita, Azariah, Josabad, Hanan, and Beraliah explained the law to people who remained in the places. Israel read clearly from the book of the law of the God, interpreting it so that all could understand what was read. Then Nehemiah, that is the governor, and Israel the priest, scribe, and the Levite who were instructing the people, said to all the people, Today is holy to the Lord your God. Do not lament, do not weep. For all the people were weeping as they heard the words of the law. He continued to go eat rich food and drink sweet drinks, and allot the portion to those who had nothing prepared. For today is a holy to our Lord. Do not sadden this day, for rejoicing in the Lord is your strength. And the Levite quieted all the people, saying, Silence, today is holy, do not be saddened. Then all the people began to eat and drink, to distribute the portions, and to celebrate with great joy, for they understood the words that had been explained to them. The Feast of the Booths. On the second day, the heads of the ancestral houses of the whole people, and also the priest and the Levite, gathered around Ezra the scribe to study the words of the law. They found it written in the law commanded by the Lord through Moses that the Israelites should dwell in booths during Feast of the 7th month, and that they should have this proclamation made throughout their cities and in Jerusalem. Go out into the hill country and bring the branches of the olives, orist, myrtle, palm, and other trees in leaves to make booths as it written. The people went out and brought in the branches with which they made booths for themselves on the roof of their houses, in their courtyard, in the court of the house of the God, and in the square of the wall gate and the gate of the Ephraim. So the entire assembly of the returned exile made the booths and dwelt in them. Now the Israelites had done nothing of this sort from the days of the Joshua, son of Nun, until this occasion. Therefore there was a very great joy. Israel read from the book of the law of the God after day, from the first day to the last. They kept the feast for 7 days and the solemn assembly on the 8th day, as was required. Nehemiah chapter 9. Public confession of sin. On the 24th day of this month, the Israelites gathered together while fasting and wearing sackcloth, their heads covered with dust. Those of Israelite descent separated themselves from all who were foreign extraction. They stood forward and confessed their sin and the guilty deeds of their ancestors. When they had taken their places, they read from the book of the Lord their God, for a fourth day, and during another fourth they made their confession and bowed down before the Lord their God. Standing on the platform of the Levite were Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, Shebaniah, Bunni, Sherebiah, Bani, and Chenanis, who cried out to the Lord their God with a loud voice. The Levite Joshua, Kadmiel, Bani, Hashabaniah, Sherebiah, Hodiah, Shebaniah, and Pethahiah said, Rise, bless the Lord your God from eternity to eternities, and may they bless your glorious name, which is exalted above all blessing and praise. You are the Lord, you alone. You made the heavens, the highest heaven and all their host, the earth and all that is upon it, the seas and all that is them. To all of them you give life. The heavenly host bow down before you. You are Lord God who chose Abraham, who brought him from Ur of the Chaldees, who named him Abraham. You have found his heart faithful in your sight. You made the covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite, Perizzite, Jebusite, and Girgashite. To him and his descendants you have fulfilled your promise, for you are just. You saw the affliction of our ancestors in Egypt. You heard their cry by a Red Sea. You worked signs and wonders against Pharaoh, against all his servants and the people of his land, because you knew of their insolence toward them. Thus you made for yourself a name even to this day. The sea you divided before them. On dry ground they passed through the midst of the sea. Their pursuers you hurled into the depths, like a stone into the mighty waters. With a column of the cloud you led them by day, and by night with a column of the fire, to light the way of their journey, to a way in which they must travel. On Mount Sinai you came down, you spoke with them from heaven. You gave them just the ordinance, true laws, good statutes, and commandments. Your holy Sabbaths you made known to them, commandment, the statute, and the law you prescribed for them by the hand of Moses your servant. Food from heaven you gave them in their hungers, water from a rock you sent them in their thirst. You told them to enter and occupy the land which you had sworn to give them. But they, our ancestors, proved to be insolent. They were obdurate and did not obey your commandments. They refused to obey and no longer remembered the wonders you had worked for them. They were obdurate and appointed a leader in order to return to their slavery in Egypt. But you are forgiving God, gracious and merciful, slow to anger and rich in mercy. You did not forsake them. Though they made for themselves a molten calf and proclaimed, Here is your God who brought you up from Egypt, and were guilty of the great insults. Yet in your great mercy you did not forsake them in the desert. By day the column of the cloud did not cease to lead them on the journey. By night the column of the fire did not cease to light the way they were to travel. You God's Spirit you bestowed on them to give them understanding. Your manna you did not withhold from their mouths, and you gave them water in their thirst. For years in the desert you sustained them. They did not want. Their garment did not become one, and their feet did not swell. You gave them kingdom and peoples, which you divided among them as a borderland. They possessed the land of the Sihon, king of the Heshbon, and the land of the Og, king of the Bashan. You made their children as numerous as the star of the heavens, and you brought them into the land which you had commanded their ancestors to enter and possess. The children went into the possess the land you humbled before them in the Canaanite inhabitants, and gave them into the power, their kings and the people of the land, to do with them as they wished. They captured the fortified city of their fertile land. They took possession of houses filled with all good things, cisterns already dug, a vineyard, the olive groves, and the fruit tree in abundance. They ate and had their fill, fattened and feasted on your great goodness. But they were contemptuous and rebelled against you. They cast your law behind their backs. They murmured your prophets, who bore witness against them to bring them back to you. They were guilty of the great insult. Therefore you gave them into the power of their enemies who oppressed them. But in the time of their oppression they would cry out to you, and you would hear them from heaven. And according to your great mercy, give them saviors to deliver them from the power of their enemies. As soon as they had relapsed, they would go back to doing evil in your sight. Again you abandoned them to power of their enemies, who crushed them. Once again they cry out to you, and you heard them from heaven, and delivered them according to your mercy many times over. You bore witness against them to bring them back to your law, but they were insolent and would not obey your commandments. They sinned against your ordinance, which give life to those who keep them. They turned the stubborn backs, stiffened their necks, and would not obey. You were patient with them for many years, bearing witness against them through your spirit by means of your prophet. Still they would not listen, therefore you delivered them into the power of the people of the lands. Yet in your great mercy you did not completely destroy them, and did not forsake them, for you are gracious and merciful God. Now our God, great, mighty, and awesome God, who preserves the covenant of the mercy, did not discard all the hardship that has befallen us. Our kings, our princes, our priests, our prophets, our ancestors, and your entire people, from the time of the king of the Assyria until this day. In all that has come upon us, you have been just, for you kept faith while you have done evil. Yes, you are our king, our prophets, our priest, our ancestors had not kept your law. They paid no attention to your commandment and the warning which you gave them. While they are still in the kingdom, in the midst of the many good things that you have given them, and in the wide, fertile land that you have spread out before them, they did not serve you, nor turn away from the evil deeds. Today we are slaves as for the land which you gave our ancestors, that they might eat its fruit and good things. See, we have become slaves upon it. Its rich produce goes to the kings you set over us because of our sins. You who rule over our bodies and our cattle as they please. We are in great distress. Nehemiah chapter 10, signatories to the pact. In the view of all this, we are entering into a firm pact, which we are putting into writing. On the sealed document appear the names of our princes, our Levite, and our priest. On the sealed document, the governor Nehemiah, son of the Hakaliah, and Zedekiah, Seraiah, Azariah, Jeremiah, Pashur, Amariah, Machidraz, Hattush, Shebaniah, Maluk, Harim, Meramos, Obadiah, Daniel, Genetons, Baruch, Meshulams, Abijars, Mijamis, Mazziah, Bilgai, Shemaiah. These are the priests. The Levite, Joshua, son of the Azaniah, Binuel, of the descendant of the Hadad, Kadmias, and their kinsmen Shebaniah, Hodiah, Kerita, Bereliah, Hanas, Mika, Lahos, Hashabiah, Zakkur, Sharabiah, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Banis, Beninus. The leader of the people, Parosh, Parathomos, Elam, Jatub, Banis, Bunis, Agad, Bibais, Adonijars, Bigvais, Adins, Ators, Hezekiah, Ajurs, Hodiah, Hashum, Bizais, Haribs, Anatos, Nibai, Mekpishas, Meshulams, Hizers, Meshjabers, Zadoks, Jadua, Pelatayas, Hanans, Ananias, Hoshias, Hananias, Hashobs, Halohesh, Piras, Shobakt, Lehums, Hashabars, Messiah, Ahiah, Hanans, Enans, Maluks, Harims, Bana. Provision of the pact. The rest of the people, priests, the Levite, the gatekeepers, and all others who have separated themselves from the local inhabitants in favor of the law of God, with their wives, their sons, their daughters, all of the age of the discretion, join their influential kindred, and with the sanction of the course take the oath to follow the law of God given through Moses, the servant of the God, and to observe carefully all the commandments of the Lord our Lord, his ordinance and his statutes. We will not marry our daughter to the local inhabitant, and we will not accept their daughter for our sons. When the local inhabitants bring in merchandise or any kind of the grain for sale on the Sabbath day, we will not buy from them on the Sabbath or on any other holy days. In the 7th year, we will forego the produce and forgive every kind of the debt. We impose this commandment on ourselves to give a third of the shekel each year for the service of the house of our God. For the showbread, the daily grain offering, the daily burnt offering, for the Sabbaths, new moons, and the festival, for the holy offering and the sin offering, to make atonement for Israel, for every service of the house of our God. We priests, the Levite, and the people have determined by lot concerning the procurement of wood. It is not to brought to the house of our God by each of our ancestral houses a stated time each year, to be burnt on the altar of the Lord our God as the law prescribes. We have agreed to bring each year to the house of the Lord the first fruit of our field and our fruit trees of every kind. Also, as is prescribed in the law, to bring to the house of our God the priests who serve in house of our God, the firstborn of our children and our animals, including the firstborn of our flock and herds. The first batch of our dough and our offering of the fruit of every tree of wine and oil we will bring to the priest to the chamber of the house of our God. The tithe of our fields will bring to the Levite. The Levite shall take the tithe in the old city of our service. On Aaron night, the priest shall be with the Levite when they take the tithe, and the Levite shall bring the tithe of the tithe to the house of our God, to the chamber of the treasuries. For to these chambers to Israelite and the Levite bring the offering of the grain, wine, and oil. There also are houses, the vessel of the sanctuary, and the ministering priest. The gatekeepers and the singers will not neglect the house of our God. Nehemiah chapter 11, Resettlement of the Jerusalem. The administrator took up the rations in the Jerusalem, and the rest of the people cast a lot to bring women in tent to reside in the Jerusalem, the holy city, while the other 9 would remain in other cities. The people blessed all those who willingly agreed to take a residence in Jerusalem. These are the heads of the province who took a residence in Jerusalem. In the city of the Judah dwelt the Israelite priest, Levi, the temple servant, and the descendant of the Solomon servant, each owned property they owned in their own cities. In Jerusalem dwelt both Judahite and Benjaminite. Of the Judahite, Attai, son of the Uzziah, son of the Zechariah, son of the Amariah, son of the Shaphatiah, son of the Mahalalel, of the sons of the Perez. Maaseiah, son of the Baruch, son of the Kolhorjak, son of the Haziah, son of the Adaiah, son of the Joarib, son of the Zechariah, or son of the Shelonite. The total of the descendants of the Perez who dwelt in Jerusalem was 468 people of the substance. These were the Benjaminites: Salu, son of the Meshullam, son of the Joed, son of the Pedaiah, son of the Kolaiah, son of the Maaseiah, son of the Itiel, son of the Jeshiah. And his kinsmen warriors 928 in numbers. Joel, son of the Zikris, was their commander, and Judah, son of the Hashenuah, was second in the command of the city. Among the priests were Zediah, Joarib, Jachin, Seraiah, son of the Hilkiah, son of the Meshullam, son of the Zadok, son of the Merlios, son of the Ahitub, the ruler of the house of the Gad. And the kinsmen who carried out the temple service, 822, Adaiah, son of the Jeroham, son of the Beliah, son of the Amzi, son of the Zechariah, son of the Pashur, son of the Melchizar. And his kinsmen, heads of the ancestral houses, 242, and the Amasai, son of the Azarel, son of the Ahijah, son of the Meshilhermos, son of Immer. And his kinsmen, warriors 128, their commander was Zabdiel, son of the Haggados. Among the Levites was Shemaiah, son of the Hashor, son of the Azrikam, son of the Hashabiah, son of the Bunnis. Sabbatai and Jozabad, Levitical chiefs who were placed over the external affair of the house of the God. Mattaniah, son of the Micah, son of the Zabdi, son of the Asaph, the director of the Psalms, who read the thanksgiving at the prayer. Bekbukiah, second in the rank among his kinsmen, and Abda, son of the Shamua, son of the Galal, son of the Jebut. The total of the Levite in the holy city was 284. The gatekeeper were Akkuks, Talmon, and their kinsmen who kept watch over the gate, 172 in numbers. The rest of the Israel, including priests and Levite, were in all the other cities of the Judah in their own inheritance. The temple servants lived on the Ophel, Ziha, and Gishpa were in charge of the temple servant. The prefect of the Levite in Jerusalem was Uzzi, the son of the Bani, son of the Hashabiah, son of the Mattaniah, son of the Micah. He was one of the descendants of the Asapah, the singer appointed to the service of the house of the God. For they had been appointed by royal decrees, and there was a fixed schedule for the singers, assigning them their daily duties. Pittahiah, son of the Mechajabel, a descendant of the Zerah, son of the Judah, was royal deputy in all affairs that concerned the peoples. Other settlements. As concerned their village with their fields, Judahites live in the Kirias Arba and its dependencies, in Dibon and its dependencies, in Jekabizar and its village, in Jeshua, Moladai, Beth-Pelet, in Hazar-Shual, in Beersheba and its dependencies, in Ziklag, in Mekonai and its dependencies, in Rimon, Jorah, and Jarmus, Janoah's, Adulam and their village, Lachish and its fields, Azekah and its dependencies. They were settled from the Beersheba to the Gil Hinnom. Benjamites were in Gibeah, Michmash, Azizah, Bethel and its dependencies. Anatos, Nobs, Ananiah, Hazors, Ramah, Gittaims, Hadid, Jeboims, Nebulat, Lod's, Ono, and the valley of the artisans. Some division of the Levite from Judah were attached to the Benjamins. Nehemiah chapter 12, priest and Levite at the time of the Zerubbabel. The following are the priest and the Levite who returned with Zerubbabel, son of the Shealtiel, and Joshua, Seraiah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Malus, Hattushi, Shechaniah, Renoms, Mermos, Iddo, Kenetons, Abijaz, Benjamins, Madiah, Bilgaz, Shemaiah, and Joreab's Jediah. Salu, Amox, Hilkiah, Jediah, these were the priestly heads and their kinsmen in the day of the Joshua. The Levites were Joshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, Mattaniah, who together with his kinsmen who was in charge of the thanksgiving hymns. While Bakukiah and Uno and their kinsmen ministered opposite them by turns, high priest. Joshua became the father of the Joachim, Joachim the father of the Elishibs, and Elishib the father of the Joadas. Joiada the father of the Johanan, and Johanan the father of the Zaddua. Priest and Levite under Joachim. In the day of the Joachim, these were the priestly familiar heads for Seraiah, Moriah, for Jeremiah, Hananiah, for Ezra, Meshullam, for Amariah, Johanan, for Meluchis, Jonathan, for Shebiah, Joseph, for Harim, Adonai, for Meros, Helkai, for Iddo, Zechariah, for Kinishon, Meshullam, for Abijah, Zikris, for Miamin, for Madiah, Piltai, for Bilgah, Shammua, for Shalmiah, Jonathan, and for Joaribs, Mattinite, for Zediah, Uchis, for Salu, Kalais, for Amox, Ibo, for Hilkiah, Hashabiah, for Zediah, Nethaniah. In the time of the Elishib, Joada, Johanan, and Zaddua, the head of the ancestral houses of the priests, were written down in the book of the Chronicles, up till the reign of the Darius the Persian. The son of the Levite, the family heads, were written down in the book of the Chronicles up until the time of the Johanan, the son of the Elishib. The heads of the Levite were Hashabiah, Shelabiah, Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, their kinsmen who stood opposite them to sing praise and thanksgiving in the fulfillment of the command of the David. The men of God, one section opposite to the others, were Mattaniah, Bakukiah, Obadiah, Meshullam, Talmon, and Aku were gatekeepers. They guarded the storerooms at the gate. All did live in the time of the Joachim, son of the Jeshua, son of the Jozadak, and in the time of the Nehemiah, the governor of the Israel, the priest scribe. Dedication of the word. At the dedication of the wall of the Jerusalem, the Levite was sought out wherever they lived and were brought to the Jerusalem to celebrate the joyful dedication with the thanksgiving hymns and the music of the cymbals, the harps, and the reeds. The Levitical singers gathered together from the region about Jerusalem, from the village of the Netophathite, from Beth Gilgal, and from the plain of the Gibeah and Azmapheth, for the singers had built themselves a settlement about Jerusalem. The priest and the Levite first purified themselves, then they purified the people, the gate, and the wall. I, the administrator of the Judah, go up on the wall, and I reign to great Kairos. The first of the deeds proceed to the right along the top of the wall in the direction of the dung gate, followed by Hosea and half the administrator of the Judah, along with the Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah. Priest with the trumpet, and also Zechariah, son of the Jonathan, son of the Shemaiah, son of the Mattaniah, son of the Micaiah, son of the Zakur, son of the Asapar. And his kinsmen Shemaiah, Azarel, Milalais, Gilalais, Mai, Nathaniel, Judah, and Hananis, with the musical instrument of the David. The man of the God, Israel the scribe, was at their heads. At the fountain gate, they went straight up by the step of the city of the David and continued along the top of the wall above the house of the David until they came to the water gate on the east. The second Kaiora proceeded to the left, followed by myself and the other half of the administrator along the top of the wall past the open tower as far as the broad walls. Then past the Ephraim gate to the Minsuhana gate, the fish gate, the tower of the Hananels, and the 100 tower as far as the ship gate. They came to halt at the prison gate. Both Kairos took up the position in the house of the God. I took and half the magistrate with me, together with the priest Eliakim, Mahasiah, Minjamin, Micaiah, Elionai, Zechariah, Hananiah with the trumpet, and the Messiah, Shemaiah, Eliza, Uzi, Johanan, Malchias, Elam, and Izios. The singers were heard under the leadership of the Zerahiah. Great sacrifices were offered on that day, and they rejoiced, for God had given them cause for great rejoicing. The women and the children joined in, and the rejoicing at the Jerusalem could be heard from far out. At that time, men were appointed over the chamber set aside for stores, offering first fruit and the tithes. In them they were to collect from the field of the various cities to portion legally assigned to the priest and the Levite. But Judah rejoiced in its appointed priest and the Levite, who carried out the ministry of their God and the ministry of the purification, as did the singer and the gatekeepers, in accordance with the prescription of David and Solomon his son. For in the day of the David and Asaph, long ago, they were leader of the singer for song of the praise at the thanksgiving to God. All Israel in the day of the Zerubbabel and in the day of the Nehemiah gave the singer and the gatekeeper their portion according to their needs. They made their consecrated offering to the Levite, and the Levite made theirs to the descendant of Aaron. Nehemiah chapter 13. At that time, when the book of the Moses was being read in the hearing of the people, it was found written there, no Amorite or Moabite may ever be admitted into the assembly of the God. For it did not meet the Israelites with food and water, but they hired Balaam to curse them, though our God turned the curse into a blessing. When they had heard the law, they separated all those of the mixed descendants from Israel, reformed in the temples. Before this, the priest Eliashib, who had been placed in charge of the chamber of the house of our God, and who was an associate of the Tobiah, had set aside for the letters to use a large chamber in which had previously been stored the grain offering, incense and the vessels, the tithe in grain, wine and oil allotted to the Levite, singers and the gatekeepers, and the offering due the priest. During all this time I had not been in Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of the Artaxerxes, king of the Babylon. I had gone back to the king. After a suitable period of the time, however, I asked a leave of the king, and returned to Jerusalem, where I discovered the evil things that Eliashib had done for Tobiah, in setting aside for him a chamber in the court of the house of the God. This displeased me very much, so I had all of the Tobiah household goods thrown outside the chambers. Then I gave orders to purify the chambers, and I brought back the vessel of the house of God, the grain offering, and the incense. I learned too that portion due the Levite were no longer being given, so that the Levite and the singers who should have been carrying out the service had deserted to their own affairs. I reprimanded the magistrate, demanding, "Why is the house of the good neglected?" Then I brought the Levite together and had them resume their stations. All Judah once more brought in the tithe of grain, wine, and oil to the storerooms. In charge of the storerooms, I appointed Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and Pedaiah, one of the Levites, together with the Hanan son of the Zaccur son of the Mattaniah as their assistant. For they were considered trustworthy, it was their duty to make the distribution to their kinsmen. Remember this to my credit, my God. Do not forget the good deeds I have done for the house of my God and its services. Sabbath observers. In those days, I perceived that people in Judah were treating the wine presses on the Sabbath, that they were bringing in the sheaf of the grain, loading them on their donkeys together with wine, grapes, figs, and every other kind of the load, and bring them to the Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. I warned them to sell none of these provisions. In Jerusalem itself, the Tyrian region, there were importing fish and every other kind of the merchandise and selling it to the Judahites on the Sabbath. I reprimanded the noble of the Judah, demanding, "What is this evil things you are doing, profaning the Sabbath days? Did not your ancestors act in the same way, with the result that our God has brought all this evil upon us and upon this city? Would you add to wrath against Israel by once more profaning the Sabbath?" When the shadow was falling on the gate of the Jerusalem before the Sabbath, I ordered the doors to be closed and prohibited their reopening until after the Sabbath. I posted some of my own people at the gate so that no load might enter on the Sabbath day. The merchant and the seller of the various kind of the merchandise spent the night once or twice outside Jerusalem. But then I warned them, "Why do you spend the night alongside the wall? If you keep this up, I'll beat you." From that time on, they did not return on Sabbath. Then I ordered the Levites to purify themselves and watch the gate, so that the Sabbath day might be kept holy. This too remember in my favor, my God, and have mercy on me in accordance with your great mercy. Mixed marriages. Also in those days I saw Jews who had married the woman of the Ashdod, Ammon, or Moab. Of the children, harp spoke the language of the Ashdod, of the one of the other peoples, and none of them knew how to speak the language of the Judah. So I reprimanded and cursed them. I beat some of their men and poured out their hair, and I adjured them by God, "You shall not marry your daughter to their son, nor accept any of their daughters for your son or for yourselves." Do not Solomon, the king of Israel, sin because of them, though among many nations there was no king like him, and though he was beloved of his God, and God had made him king over the Israel. Must also hold up to you that you have done the same terrible evil, betraying our God by marrying foreign women. One of the sons of the Zoiada, son of the Eliashib, the high priest, was the son-in-law of the Sanballat, the Horonite. I drove him from my presence. Remember against them, my God, how they defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and the Levite. So I cleansed them of all foreign contamination. I established the various functions for the priest and the Levite, so that each had the appointed task. I also provided for the procurement of the wood at stated time and for the first freight. Remember this in my favor, my God.